We are a charming destination. Tourists will always want to come to Cyprus. We have a good infrastructure, airports, the road system is very good. Traditionally, the reason why investors preferred, let's say, short-term rentals over long-term rentals was the higher returns. It's a business. You need to treat it as a business, and you need to have the patience, like when you are building a business. The best returns are in city centers with cluster apartments and studio or one-bedroom apartments.
Investing in properties in Cyprus for short-term rentals purposes. These are the topics today. I'm Stefan Burns, I'm Cyprus premium consultant and real estate agent. And I'm today invited here in the house and in the company from Mr. Kostas Karakontis.
Correct.
Thank you for the invitation. I want to introduce you first of all. Before we discuss some very, very interesting topics, I have prepared some questions for you. So we have a situation here in Cyprus, 15 years record in real estate numbers. Yeah, so the market is very, very active. And of course, it's for most investors, it is important to know some facts about the short-term rental market. Yeah. So you are the director and CEO of Urbanica and Maestro Hospitality, and you are also the president of the Cyprus Short-Term Stay Association. Yeah, and you are now involved more than since 2015. Yeah, yep. So 9 years in this short-term rental business in Cyprus and hospitality. You are currently running 120 Airbnb units around and have a boutique hotel under your management here in Larnaca, and additionally 220 long-term rentals. Also some numbers for you. So this guy is very, very experienced and he knows how the market works very intimately. Yeah. So, and yeah, next year you are planning, well, in the next 2 years, you are planning 300
units.
300 other units, yeah, to additionally put in your portfolio. And you're also active in Greece, in Athens, yeah?
Correct.
So
yes.
Not only in Larnaca. Okay, let's start with the questions, and let's consider when you want to rent out a property in Cyprus, yeah, so what it is important, yeah, which numbers, with which figures you have to know in your mind, yeah, and yeah, let's start with the first question. What factors make Cyprus a so attractive destination for investors who are looking to enter the short-term rental market?
First of all, thank you for the great introduction. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We have a nice relationship. We work very well together. So it's a nice opportunity. Like you said, it's the right timing now. 2023 has been one of the best years for short-term in the short-term rental market. And it's a nice opportunity to give some feedback to the people who are interested in Cyprus, to get an idea of what's going on, where the market is, and where it's heading. So the current state, like we said, is at a peak. It has surpassed the 2019 figures, which after COVID, it was a milestone. It was a target for everybody working in the tourism industry to get to this number, and we managed even to surpass it in most areas of Cyprus. The ADR, so the average daily rates for the short-term rental market, is at the highest that ever was. Here in Larnaca, it was an increase of 30% since last year and a 20% increase since 2019. So we are talking about very good numbers. The center of Larnaca and the city centers in general in Cyprus, they have historic highs in occupancies. So we are talking about 75 to 80%. Of course, we understand that these figures are due to COVID. People were eager to travel, they are still eager to travel. So we're expecting to stabilize at these numbers, so 75 to 80% occupancy in the city centers. The touristic areas, the traditional touristic areas like Ayanaba and Bafos had also a great year. So we're very optimistic going forward that we will maintain these numbers and even perhaps surpass our records.
It will be a record year after 2019.
This year has been already a record year, so we are happy we managed to do that because you have to take into consideration the global landscape. So we have the situation with Russia and Ukraine. Russia was a very big market, and now with Israel. So that the fact that we managed to replace tourists coming from Russia with other destinations, and Germans play a big role in that. So it has been a great success from the Ministry of Tourism of Cyprus, of course, but also from the professionals in the tourism industry. The promotion that Cyprus had in the past 2 years, we managed to get to these numbers that we're talking about.
This always excited me. I'm living here now over 7 years, that the economy of Cyprus is so resilient, with all this crisis we had in the past, So Cyprus is always evolving, and raising up, and especially in the hospitality and tourist sector. It's
we are blessed.
Absolutely amazing.
Correct. We are blessed that we are a nice destination. We are a charming destination. Tourists will always want to come to Cyprus. We have a good infrastructure, airports, the road system is very good. We're still struggling a bit on the mass transportation, the buses and that, but I'm sure this can be sorted at some point. But in general, I mean, we are a small economy, so we and very flexible economy, so we are quick to adapt to changes and obviously to combat, any outside factors that affect the economy. So yeah, like you said, Cyprus has shown that over the years that it has managed to recover after each major, let's say, milestone in the in the downturn.
Absolutely, and there are still so much opportunities for the future. So how does the tourism industry in Cyprus affect demand for short-term rental properties? And what growth potential does it offer? What do you see for the next 5 or 10 years in this market?
Great question. So like I said before, we had a record-breaking year for the short-term rental market. The hotels also are at similar levels of 2019. The short-term rentals have surpassed the 2019 figures. And I expect that these numbers will grow a little bit more. As better quality inventory is coming into market, this helps a lot. We have the great new developments here in Larnaca, in Limassol as well. Great properties entering the market. So this is a great factor that shows that in the future, the high nightly rates will continue. And we expect that the occupancies, especially for the city centers, will remain at a steady high of around 75 to 80%. Which globally, this is a very good number.
Great. This covers my third question as well.
Oh, very good.
So we skip that and we'll go to the fourth one. So what are the regulatory considerations should investors be aware of when they purchase and manage a short-term rental property here in Cyprus?
Mm-hmm. Like every other country now in Europe and in the world, like the USA and stuff. So the short-term rental market has started now being regulated.
Since when?
In Cyprus, it was 2021, correct. Yeah. So our association played a big part in the formation and the drafting, let's say, of the legislation that was passed by the parliament. It was one of our goals that we wanted to regulate the market. We are not against regulation. We are pro-regulation as a short-term rental association. We want the quality of the product, and we want everybody to be, let's say, working on a similar basis. What do we mean by that? We mean that we need to have a quality control of the properties. So the new legislation says that each property, it needs to be have a valid, let's say, building permit. It needs to have a valid electricity supply. And also the entrepreneur or the owner, let's say, of the property, he needs to be registered in the VAT as a VAT operator. And also he needs to declare his taxes. Okay. Because it's not fair for some people, companies to pay their taxes normally, and for some individuals not to do that. Okay. It's unfair competition, obviously. So this is something that we worked on. This is something we managed to do. So the legal framework is very simple. It's very logical in our minds. So we need to be registered in the VAT. Mm-hmm. We need to declare our income from short-term rental operations.
So I have to establish a company for that, a limited?
You don't need to establish it. Okay. You can be operating as an individual entrepreneur. Okay. But if you wish, if you have more property than 1, 2, 3, 4 properties, for example, it would make sense if you register a company as well. Yeah. So it's advisable if your, let's say, gross revenue is about 50,000-60,000 euros per year. It's advisable anyway to create a company. Okay. And moreover, most modern properties, they meet the criteria, let's say, to be eligible for the license from the Ministry of Tourism. So most modern properties, they have their building permits, they have a legal, let's say, electricity supply, correct? So, but it's always very good before you purchase something to get an opinion from a management company or from a real estate agent on the market, on the area, let's say, on where to focus. And also to get, from your legal consultant, the exact regulatory frame, so you know exactly
the procedure
of what to do. Yeah. The procedure takes 5 minutes. It's online procedure. You also pay online, so it's very effective.
Okay. How high is the registration fee for get this license?
So currently, regardless of size, which is something that we disagree on as an association, let's say you have a studio or you have a villa, you're still paying 222 euros every 3 years.
Every 3 years?
Every 3 years.
Okay, for one property?
For one property.
Okay.
For each property is 222 euros every 3 years, regardless if it's a studio or if it's a villa.
Okay, I understand. Very easy.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the financial benefits for me as an investor in Cyprus for short-term rentals. What can I expect?
So traditionally, the reason why investors preferred, let's say, short-term rentals over long-term rentals was the higher returns, and Cyprus is no different. Historically, we have seen, at least since I'm involved in the Airbnb market since 2015, that the returns have remained steadily above, let's say, the long-term rental market, and starting between 8% of return on investment going upwards. This can reach easily 25%. Depending on the property area and correct management, because of course the management of the property is what makes or breaks your bank account at the end of the day. An investor can expect returns of around 10%. This is what I will always like to say, that don't go into the short-term rental market expecting returns of 30, 40, 50%, obviously. But contain your expectation, let's say, to 10, 15% in the beginning until your property matures. It's very important for properties to mature in the market, to get enough reviews, and to smooth out your operations. So once you do that, then you can optimize your profit as well. You can ask for more money as well. Like I said, investors should expect starting at 10, going to 15% on the short-term rental market, which I believe is comparable to what is going on in the rest of Europe, at least.
Mm-hmm. Is there a magical number for reviews on Booking or Airbnb or the portals?
Listen, the magical number is 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Okay, you have to put the property 1 year in the market.
You have to, like every business, when you make a short-term, when you have a short-term, if it's one property or if it's 100 properties, it's a business. You need to treat it as a business, and you need to have the patience, like when you are building a business. So all your processes and procedures and everything, it needs to be focused like I'm running a business. Like I always like to say to potential investors, if you are not buying a whole building and you are buying individual Airbnbs here and there, it's like you have a scattered hotel. So imagine the challenges that a hotel has with 100 rooms in one building. Now imagine that spread out all over one city.
Yeah, you double your struggles.
You double your headaches. So exactly. So you need to give it some time. Mm-hmm. So now, if it's 1 year, I usually say 1 year. So the first year, you get to know the business. So if you are self-managing, especially, and it's the first time you do it, give yourself some time. Watch some YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. Read some, content.
Yeah.
Get an understanding of what's going on. Because, like I said, it's a business. Yeah. So get the fundamentals. Now, if you want the headache, you can hire a manager. A management company, and it's, of course, it takes from your profit, yes, but it's headache free.
Yeah.
So I would say that the property matures after on the second year.
Okay.
Usually.
Very, very, very good. Yeah. Thank you. Are there specific property types or locations in Cyprus that are more suitable for short-term rentals, and what are the key characteristics that makes them attractive?
Great question again. So this is a very important thing, because what we have seen over the years is that investors, sometimes they go with their instinct and sometimes they go with the numbers. Sometimes they fall in love with properties and sometimes they just want to see the actual numbers. Now, I'm going to talk on the financial side, on what historically we have seen that generates the best income with regards to short-term rental properties. And these type of properties are usually clustered apartments. And what do I mean clustered apartments? Let's say one building of 10 apartments. Either you own the whole building. Let's say you are investing in, or you have at least 5 from in one building. So clustered properties close together to avoid the headaches we mentioned earlier. You know, about the management headaches of running around the town. So this is number one, to have the properties clustered together. Unlike what people think, that the bigger the better, in the short-term rental is not the same.
Okay.
So if the large villas with the large gardens and the large pools, it means high electricity bills, it means high maintenance costs, it means pool costs, and stuff like that. Of course, you can command higher average daily rates, but traditionally the studio and one bedrooms have the best return on investment.
I know. It's a big learning for me today.
Exactly. So people think, I'm gonna go and get a 3-bedroom apartment with, it's very good, but most travelers are couples, either 1 or 2 people.
Okay. Yeah.
So the 70% of travelers is maximum 2 guests.
70%.
70%, which is a huge number. It's a huge number. Now, I'm not saying that in the traditional touristic areas that work seasonally from April, let's say, until the end of October, you cannot buy your house, a nice villa, because during that period, you will get the family, you will get the group of friends, so you will get 3 couples traveling together, obviously. However, if we are looking at it at a clear return on investment perspective, the best returns are in city centers with cluster apartments and studio or 1-bedroom apartments. And another reason why this is the case, especially here in Cyprus, is because most of the units developed in Cyprus are either 2-bedroom apartments going up. Because the developers, when they build apartments, they rarely build apartments, studio apartments or 1-bedroom apartments. What they usually develop is 2-bedroom apartments. This is the average. So in the market, there are a lot of 2-bedroom apartments.
Correct.
But if you can manage to find the studio apartments and the 1-bedroom apartments, then this what is going to give you your highest actual return. And also because your expenses are a lot less contained.
Very valuable, very valuable insights. Thank you so much. I have another interesting question for you. Could you identify the most popular regions here in Cyprus and cities for short-term rentals, explaining the reason behind that appeal to tourists? So I'm 5 years now a Cyprus consultant, make immigration service. I show people the island, and so they are always asking me, Stefan, where I have to go? Yeah, and this is the reason why I make tours, show them the island. Yeah, so and I'm very excited to hear.
And cruises, from what I know, you do some cruises as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. And I'm very excited now to hear your answers as a Cypriot who were born here, and how do you see the island?
Yeah. So the traditional, let's say, tourist areas like Ayia Napa and Paphos will always be relevant. And what do I mean by that? Their popularity is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
However, one important consideration we need to take into account when thinking about these areas is the seasonality. So you have to take example from the hotels. What do they do in Ayia Napa and in Prodaras in the winter? They close. So in Paphos, not so much. There are more hotels open in Paphos. Obviously, it's a more urban. Let's say it's a town. However, in Ayia Napa, investing in short-term rentals is not so attractive, in my opinion. Now, hotels, of course, great investment. Okay. If somebody invests in a hotel in Ayia Napa, great opportunity. The yields are excellent, so yes. But if we're talking about short-term rentals, in my opinion, and the advice I always give is try and avoid Ayia Napa, unless what you are looking for is a vacation home for yourself. So let's say you want to buy a beachfront house, a beachfront villa in Prodaras that you're gonna use with your family 2-3 times a week, 2-3 weeks during the summertime, and then the rest of the period you're gonna rent it. Mm-hmm. If this is what you are looking for, then by all means, go and you can do that. But again, if we are speaking again about strictly investment opportunities, I would say the two urban centers of Larnaca and Limassol are great options. They are year-round options. So we, like I said in the beginning, 75 to 80% occupancy year-round. The prices are a bit more, let's say, high because they are urban centers, but the average daily rates are also higher. And also the centers during the winter time, the city centers during the winter time, they get the majority of the tourists.
Right. Yeah.
So let's say areas in Larnaca, like the Geia Road or a bit further outside, they calm down during the winter time, but the city center they remain active. In Limassol also is very active during the winter time because it is the key, the winter time. The summertime, let's say, you're gonna work anyway. So what you're gonna do during the winter time that is gonna make or break at the end of the day. So the winter time in Limassol is year round. However, people need to know that the entry to the market of Limassol, it's almost double of that of Larnaca. Okay. So taking all that into consideration, I would say that due to the fact that the prices at this specific time in Limassol are so high, but the average daily rate are not that much higher than in Larnaca, as a pure investment opportunity, I would say that Larnaca area has the best prospect as well, 5-10 years for appreciation down the line due to the major constructions that will happen, the marina and all that.
So you confirm that Larnaca is the place to be?
Yes, in my opinion, of course, yes.
Great. And the next question is for my relocation clients. Yeah, so we have a lot of Germans in the last 5-6 years who who are coming to Cyprus to choose Cyprus as their new home and center of life. And I expect more and more are coming. And in regards to relocation to Cyprus, which is the most attractive city in terms of quality of affordability, what you will say?
So, of course, the Germans, understandably, has been a very great customer base for the past 4 or 5 years at least. And like you said, we expect that this trend will continue and perhaps, hopefully, will increase as well. Traditionally, we know that the German people looking to relocate, they're coming obviously for the weather, obviously for the tax regimes.
Quality of life.
The quality of life, the quietness of the life, the easygoing lifestyle. So these things are constant in Cyprus, and this will remain constant in Cyprus. With regards to the real estate market now, the most affordable rents compared to what you are getting out of a lifestyle are again here in Larnaca.
Yeah.
It's half the price almost of that in Limassol. It's a more livable city, let's say, than Paphos. This is how I compare it. And it's a coastal area. Now people will be wondering, oh, how about Nicosia? Nicosia could be a great option. If you don't want the beach, if you don't want
exactly.
and you are more of a mountain guy, perhaps, I don't know. You could choose Nicosia. The traffic is terrible. However, it's the capital of Cyprus again. So Nicosia, you cannot say that, oh, I moved to Nicosia, oh, you poor thing. No. Nicosia could be a great option. However, the access to the coastal lifestyle and the affordable prices, both for accommodation purposes and both for office spaces.
Yeah.
Because in Larnaca, you are still able to find 10, 15 euro per square meter offices. If you look anywhere else, it's almost double that.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing and why people choose Larnaca. Also, the quality of the product you can find in with regards to accommodation is very comparable, maybe sometimes even better than other cities in Larnaca.
And we have already over 2 billion investments who are planned
in the pipelines.
In the pipelines in Larnaca. Only to mention 2 projects, Larnaca Marina, Land of Tomorrow, and
correct.
More and more is coming. So these are also some major arguments. What are the anticipated return on investment for investors considering short-term rentals properties in Cyprus compared to other investment options? You're an expert in that, so you have the numbers in your head.
So with regards to property appreciation, Cyprus as a general has a 5% year-on-year appreciation for the past 5 years. It had slowed down a bit during COVID, obviously. However, year-on-year we have a 5% at least increase in appreciation, and as an average in the whole island. So, and this trend doesn't look too slow. On the contrary, we expect that this might increase as well. Hopefully, there will be if there is a solution, obviously in Israel and in Russia as well. These are major factors affecting this. So, when there is a final solution to these issues, the trend will increase because it's a traditional, Cyprus is a traditional destination as well for Russians and for Israelis. So it was two very big markets for us. So without even without these investments at this stage, we had a 5% increase again this year, and we expect another 5% in 2024. With regards to the short-term rental market, like I mentioned again in the beginning, we had a 30% average daily rate increase in 2023, and the occupancies are all-time high. This number will either remain constant or even increase. We do not see any trends indicating that the number will decrease at any in the near future.
Yeah. Very good. How do the upfront costs, ongoing expenses, and potential income compare to investors considering short-term rentals properties in Cyprus?
So, like I said, short-term rental investments, or even long-term rental investments, if you ask me, are businesses. You need to treat it as a business.
Exactly.
Yes, you're buying a property, but if you are gaining any income out of those properties, you need always to treat it as a business. You need to be meticulous with your costs. You need to be careful with your costs. Don't overspend on things that don't add value to your property. Very expensive floorings, very expensive woodwork, very expensive appliances. If your aim is to rent out the property, either long-term or short-term, you do not need to overspend. You need to be very careful with your spending, first of all. Second of all, during the operation, like I said before, study a bit, know what you are getting into. It's 24/7. Reservations are coming in 24/7. You need to either be ready psychologically to answer questions on Airbnb, on Booking.com all the time, or you need to have a team behind you supporting you to do that. You need to clean your apartments. So you need to have cleaners. You need to do laundry for your apartments. You need to figure out your laundry costs. Then you need consumables in the apartments. You need your coffee, you need your tea, you need your sugar, you need some olive oil, you need, your water, you need some wine. So these are things that people often do not think about when they say, I'm going to do some Airbnb. Yeah,
I have to smile and to laugh. So you remind me to my first Airbnb experience 7 years ago when I came first on the island. Yeah. So I asked 3 flats. Yeah, and no one was answering.
Answering.
What's going on there? They are so busy and they are fully booked. What's going on here? So and they did not came back to me and say.
I will tell you why. 7 years ago, it was just starting.
Yeah,
they didn't even have 10 notifications on their phones back then. They didn't even know that you need to reply to messages. It was a brand new. Listen, to be fair, 7 years ago, Airbnb in Cyprus, and generally in Europe, let's not say just Cyprus, but generally in Europe, Airbnb and Booking.com, let's say on the short-term rental market, it was in its infancy. So when I started, literally, I was within the first 100 apartments in Larnaca that were listed on Airbnb. So I had 10 apartments, I had 10% of the inventory. Back in 2015, I had 10% of the inventory of the whole of Larnaca.
Yeah.
We were like 100 apartments, we all knew each other, and we are learning together. It was a big learning curve.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, both platforms have matured very much. Yeah. So now the experience that a guest is expecting, back then you might have forgiven them,
of course,
because you knew that it was in its infancies. But now guests do not forgive so easily. So if you don't answer to the messages within an hour,
we have more professionals in the market
of
now
course,
since last 5 years.
Yeah. So now it's a lot more professional. So with regards to the costs, investors need to be very careful. They need to have a nice spreadsheet. Yes, we need to use a spreadsheet with all our expenses and the anticipated costs. This is very easy now to find online, a template of the expected costs, or they can ask a local management company for some guidance. And I'm sure that everybody can answer a few questions without any obligations. It's not, it's not a competition.
Yeah.
So they need to treat it as a business and try and make the best. Usually, just to give an indication, or again, on if you are self-managing, let's say, because we said what the return on investment is for investors, around 15 to 20%. But if you are self-managing, then you can expect profits of around 35%. So this is the difference. It's not a little difference. I understand that 15% is quite a large number because this is usually what the management companies charge. This is what we charge as to manage a property. We ask for 15% on the gross income. So, but again, you need to make your math and be prepared that you want to work. It's work. So you need to do the hard work yourself.
Okay, great. Absolutely great insights. We are coming to the end of this great interview. I have a last interesting question to you. What challenges or risks are associated with this type of investment. You mentioned before a lot of things, yeah. And what strategies can investors employ to mitigate these risks effectively, yeah?
So the main risk that
the Germans don't want to have any headaches, yeah, and I think any investor don't want that, yeah. So maybe you can give us some tips on that.
Exactly. So we have seen also that the investors usually they want to have a clear understanding of the numbers of what they are getting out of a professionally managed business, let's say. But with regards to the risks now and what we are anticipating, our main threat, let's say in quotation marks, was the legislation. So what we as an association did was early on get involved in the legal process, let's say, during the drafting of the legislation, so we can have an input and we can have a say during the voting process, let's say. We managed to do that, and that is a great success of our association. So the risks now that we see are outside risks, let's say, related risk, is not internal risks. Since the framework is in place, there is a legislation in place, we are not threatened by a new legislation, let's say, that will, ban short-term rentals or whatnot. So these are not our risk. Obviously, the growing tension in the area, let's say, is one risk that we feel that is affecting how the tourist trends is going. Economic factors, we are not worried anymore. Cyprus has recovered from its previous mistakes.
Very strong economy.
Yes, we have gone back to the markets this year. So we are starting generating as well as a government. Great work on that as well. In 10 years, we managed to turn everything around. So with regards to risk, as I said, is external factors and no factors that have to do with Cyprus itself.
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely great. So thank you so much for this interview and these insights for the short-term rental market and also in general for the rental market here in Cyprus. It was very, very deep insights. It was a pleasure to have you. And as always in my interviews, yeah, I'm a guest here in your house, yeah, in your company, but in this interview, you have the last word to say for the investors from your heart, what you say.
Of course. Thank you so much as well for the opportunity.
It was a pleasure.
It was great hosting you here. We had this amazing, the crew as well, they did an amazing job setting up everything for us to have this conversation. Hopefully, we said it during the interview that the great prospect of the short-term rental market, but also the long-term rental market. So for investors, this is a great opportunity and a great timing to enter the market, especially Larnaca market that is on the rise. Also for the Germans, I believe Cyprus is a very attractive destination in general. 75-80% of the population speaks English. The lifestyle and the weather, the economy, the tax regimes are great factors, and to have German clients coming and relocating to Cyprus will be a great pleasure to have this conversation once again, maybe on a different topic.
Yes,
we will discuss it like we were discussing before. And thank you so much for the opportunity to present all this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stefano. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much.